So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a quorum. So we'll call the meeting to order. 7:34. All right. So we can start tonight's meeting. If someone would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from September 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes approved. Guests, we have Barbara and Bill. Is Roger there with you guys also?
Yeah, I am too.
Okay, so we have Roger, Bill, and Barbara as our guests tonight. Is there anything that you guys would like to bring up before we get the meeting going? Anything specific? All right.
Well, I wish I'd seen the plans.
Yeah, I just got them today. So I wish I could.
Is there any way to object to that, John? That
I don't know if there's any like legal standing that we have. I don't think there's like a certain amount of time that we have to be provided with the plans. There isn't that I know of.
Even in our.
Well, I think if we tried to say something about that, they would say we have the plans right now, and everyone is welcome to come here and review them in person. I think that's what their rebuttal would be.
They're supposed to give us a copy.
Yeah, well, I do have a copy of them now, but I just got them a couple hours ago.
And is there any particular reason why they can't send you the copies earlier? I mean, when are they making them? Do you think it's that? Do they all come in at the last minute? Is that why they're so late in being copied or something like that?
No, it's not that, because I see the dates of when they were received. I can ask Desiree. Now, what the last zoning secretary would do, she would email me as soon as the plans came in and said, hey, this plan just came in, it's ready for pickup. With the zoning secretary now, a week before the meeting, I have to email her and ask her for the plans. So I could, ask her if she can change her method to inform me as soon as plans come in. So that way we have more advanced notice, but that's up to her discretion whether she's willing to do that or not.
And as far as the plans being available online, when she receives them, does she immediately copy them, do you think?
I don't know. She did send me digital plans, but I didn't have time to save them all to my computer or download it all to my computer and then put it all into another email and send it all out. I tried to actually share the email that she sent me, but my email server wouldn't allow me to do that. I think because it's a government email address that they were sent from. So there's like confidentiality restrictions. So I couldn't just share that email. And it was probably 12 different attachments between two different emails. And honestly, I barely had enough time just to go through these and make basic notes through the hard copy.
Yeah, I figured that. I mean, you wouldn't have had time to forward them on. It's not that quick.
Right.
Yeah, I just wonder when people submit an application, do they have to submit a digital version?
That has been discussed, and I believe the zoning secretary last month said they are going to start requiring that. And like I said, I did get all of the digital stuff today. I just didn't have time to share it. So
no, I know. I guess I'm just wondering when she gets it. If she gets it digitally, then letting you know that she has it would give us plenty of time.
Yeah, right. Well, I can write her an email and ask her to start doing that. That way, we don't have to try to get these plans last minute. We had the same issue.
Last month, she never, ever got back to me. I'm still waiting to hear from her about plans for last month.
Yeah.
Hey,
Now, apparently, she was out of the office. I think I emailed her last month, 4 days before our meeting.
Right.
So then this time I emailed her on Tuesday. So it was 6 days. And like I said, I had to send a follow-up email today just to get plans for today. Now, it was also Thanksgiving, so.
I don't know why. I mean, is there any particular reason why she wouldn't include us on the plans, John? Like, it's really
I don't know
why she would put the burden upon you.
Yeah, I don't know.
She should have just copied us all on the plan so we all would have them. Like,
Yeah. The previous secretary, when she sent the plans to the zoning and planning board, lawyer, Mr. Borelli, she would include me in that same email. So every time she would send something to Mike Borelli, she would send it to me also. So I will email her and ask her to make that the way it's done going forward. But like I said, that'll be at her discretion.
Yeah.
well, maybe she could do the same thing. Whenever she tells Borelli, she can send it to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's an idea.
Yeah. And, she probably just hasn't even thought of that because since she started there, I've just been asking for plans and I never brought it up to her the way that it had been done previously. So it'll probably be easier for her also. So hopefully she'll be receptive to it.
Okay.
I mean, I wonder if she's the proper person to address that to. Like, do you think you should address it to the administrator?
Well, I think I can address it to her first and see how it goes. Or just include the administrator in the email.
Well, I'm just wondering if it doesn't go the way you think it would go. It's going to be awkward to then go to the administrator. But,
right.
I mean,
I was told that there is absolutely nobody else in that building who knows anything about the applications except Desiree.
yeah, I tend to maybe believe that statement.
So
I honestly don't know what the procedure is there, so I can't comment one way or the other.
I asked to talk to the mayor, he doesn't know anything about it. Yeah. Stuck.
Well, I can make an effort to, make things go a little more efficiently moving forward because, this is an issue that shouldn't be an issue. It's easily resolved. And it would be easier for everybody, I think, if she just emails us the plans as soon as she gets them.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, everything should be hands-on.
Yeah. So moving forward on the agenda, emergency management and hazardous waste sites. There are 3 incident notices that we've received since our September meeting. All 3 of them are results of motor vehicle accidents. The first one occurring on October 6th at the intersection of Monroeville Road and Willow Grove. There was a total of 50 gallons, a mix between hydraulic oil and diesel fuel, went into the roadway and a cornfield. No storm drains or waterways are affected. Hazmat was on the scene and contained the spill. The other incident occurred on September 23rd, Route 55 South, mile marker 41, 75 gallons of diesel. It says diesel oil spilling onto the roadway and into the soil. Cleanup was in progress at the time. Gloucester County Hazmat was on the scene. Third incident occurred on November 14th at the intersection of Coles Mill Road and Malaga Road. 75 gallons of diesel fuel. And that was contained. Gloucester County Hazmat responded, and there was a company called Padroni Fuel Company that I believe they said is responsible for the cleanup. Or no, I'm sorry, that was a different one. There was a third party. Stella Contracting was cleaning up the spill on Monroeville and Willow Grove Road.
So these are all tanker trucks? That's a lot of gallons. It's roughly 200 gallons that was spilled out this past month.
Yeah.
I think the one for sure was a dump truck that was involved in an accident. The other 2, I'm not sure. You got to realize these tractor trailers, they're tanks because they can have several hundred gallons of fuel
Yeah.
Several hundred thousands.
Yeah, so it's, the spills that were made aware of through these incident notices, they're not the ones we have to worry about. It's ones that don't get reported that have to be worried about. And I don't really think that happens too often. If it's a major accident, then the proper authorities are often notified. So there's no follow-up on any of those, just informative.
Yeah.
So moving on to zoning and planning board applications. So PB 2313, this is Fiore Concrete. They had an application in front of the planning board last year. And they are going back to the planning board for site plan approval to construct an accessory storage garage of 2,175 square feet. And I have all of the plans here. And one thing I noted on these plans that were not on the plans of the previous application that they applied for last year was there seems to be like a stormwater basin in the back of the property now. And the plans also show the drainage, the grading of the site, which also wasn't part of the plan last year. But anyway, this storage garage will be located in the back of the property. There's currently material storage bins there now, so you can see it when you drive by. It's like they have, I think it's like Jersey barriers, like in different storage sections where they have various materials. It's currently, I believe, impervious surfaces now, so there won't be any additional impervious surfaces. And the only, I don't think they're even asking for any variances here or waivers. Just a site plan approval. And the only comment that I can think of is to ensure that they direct any stormwater runoff in the proper direction, because it looks like if it goes to the one side of the building, which I believe would be the north side, if any water runs off to the north side, it will drain into the neighboring property. But this is right in front of the drainage basin that is there now, so they can very easily divert all stormwater into the drainage basin that is there, as long as they take the proper measures to do that, which would be really easy as long as they align their gutter downspouts in the proper direction. It's 23 feet from the property line. So we could also make a comment about lighting, because there is a residence, I believe, right next to this property. So if they put security lighting on this garage 23 feet away from the property line, it could have light spillage onto the neighboring property. Now, I didn't see a total amount of impervious cover. They didn't provide those calculations. But considering, like I said, it's already impervious where this is going, so it won't be any additional impervious cover. So my recommendation as far as comments go is make sure the stormwater is diverted into the stormwater basin, and make sure the lights are properly shielded as not to intrude on the neighboring property.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So Jason is here and he reviewed all these plans also. So at least we have another pair of eyes on these plans. And if anybody would like to see these plans and make your own personal review, we'll still have time before these meetings. So if anybody else can find any other comments on the plans that we review tonight, just let me know and I can get you the plans so you can do your own review, because it's possible that I missed something along here.
Well, do you want to send them out? I
can certainly do the digital plans, send everybody the digital plans, but it's kind of hard to read a site plan when it's digital. But I will do that. I'll make a note to do that.
John, from offside here, Roger just said it should be fully shielded lights.
Okay.
Anything else, just shine, it'll still shine straight out if it's not fully shielded. And you don't need that light all the way out, 2 miles down the road. Sorry.
No, good point. Fully shielded lights and properly diverted stormwater.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that was Fiore Concrete, which is 823 Delsey Drive, block 4902, lot 16, and it's in a highway commercial zone. So the next application is PB 2314, located at 2205 Delsey Drive, which is Community Commons. The applicant here, there's two applicants, co-applicants. I only wrote down their last names, Sparks and Slocum. Douglas Sparks and Jessica Slocum. This is in a highway commercial zone, 2205 Delsey Drive, block 3507, lot 1. Like I said, Community Commons, which we're all familiar with because we've reviewed a couple plans for that. And this is just a site plan waiver. The applicant proposes to utilize 1,400 square feet of an 11,700 square foot building, and the proposed use is a tattoo shop. So the only waiver that they're required to get is a site plan waiver, which isn't really necessary for this small shop. I mean, a site plan waiver would incorporate the entire site. So just for one small portion of this building, a site plan waiver isn't necessary. And it's located, this shop would be located like around the side behind the liquor store, where I think it's currently all those shops back there are vacant. I don't think there's any occupants in there.
There's a couple shops.
Yeah, there's a couple, but I think they're all empty. So this would be the first one. And like I said, it's a tattoo shop, and I believe that's a conforming use because they're not applying for a use variance.
Didn't they just approve something to go back there? The gym or martial arts?
I don't know. The last thing that we saw for there was the engineering place that's in the front, the civil site engineer.
Somebody just did a martial arts place. I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Are you thinking of the cave? The grappling place? Yeah. No, that's that's on Delsey Drive. That's that little building that used to be the adult bookstore.
No, that's something different. That's called the clubhouse. That was there. They got that approval a while before that cave grappling club thing. I'm like 99% sure the cave grappling club is in Community Commons. Not that it matters, but I'm just.
Okay. Oh yeah. You know what? You might be right. I might be confusing the two.
Yeah.
Where would this place be?
In Community Commons, same in one of these other storefronts.
Same place?
Same building. It might be right next door to this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I never go down that side of the building, so there could be something down there, and I don't know about it. But I thought they were all empty because there's a total of 4 retail stores along that row there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe they were in there for that.
And in the plan that I have here, it has all of the different businesses labeled: the liquor store, communications, the Hallmark, the hair salon, China Cafe, Animal Hospital. So they have them all labeled. And in the 4 spots along that north side, nothing's labeled there. So I think they're all vacant.
Well, I think this cave grappling club literally just got their resolution like at the last meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be an old, yeah.
Because I do remember seeing something about the cave grappling, and I was thinking it was the clubhouse.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure.
It was 901.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really have any
So there's no bearing on
implication on
that.
this.
It's nice to see that, get some business.
Yeah, they're getting utilized. Right. So it would be my recommendation that we don't make any comment on this application.
Yeah, I concur.
Fine.
So we can move on to the next application, which is PB 2315. This is an incomplete application as of now. They're not ready to go to the planning board with this because there is no site plan. It's a minor subdivision. The applicant is Matthew White. The location is 123 Coles Mill Road, Block 6101, Lot 11. They're proposing a minor subdivision, converting one 72-acre lot into 3 lots. There's no development proposed at the time, but like I said, no site plan is provided. And this is located on Coles Mill Road, close to the 4-way stop sign on Coles Mill and Malaga Road. So if you're going down Coles Mill Road, away from the center of Franklinville, you go through the 4-way stop and a couple properties up on the right. There's like a farm field back in the woods that you can see from the road. But
is that by like Sahara Sands?
Yeah, close to it. Yeah, on the other side of the road.
Gotcha.
What was the woman's last name again?
Matthew White.
Thank you. I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in the Pinelands?
Yeah, Pinelands Rural Residential. I looked at the ERI, and there seems to be extensive wetlands, like right along the frontage of this. The wetlands is Faraway Branch, and it extends almost the length of this lot right along the frontage of Coles Mill Road. That's probably why it's still undeveloped at the moment. So they have enough frontage for 3 lots. Minimum frontage is 125 feet in that zone. They have 444 feet of frontage. But considering that it's in the Pinelands and there's wetlands there, I know they'll definitely have to file with the Pinelands before they get an approval. And as far as an LOI goes to determine the presence of wetlands, I don't know if that's necessary for a minor subdivision that doesn't include any development.
I'm sure the Pinelands will be looking at the wetlands issue.
Yeah. So, and if an LOI isn't required at this point, once they try to develop these sites, they most certainly will be. But this application has a long way to go before it's even, before it's approved, definitely, but they still have to submit more documentation before the planning board will even hear it.
I would question what size are lot.
Yeah, they didn't say what size they plan the lots to be. I think minimum size in that area is 3.5 acres, I believe. But,
So
Yeah,
the electronic thing you weren't able to forward us did not include anything for that?
no, there was no site plan for this. So I can make a comment or come up with a comment sheet for this and let the zoning secretary know that there's that we'll need to review this again once they submit a site plan. I don't know. What do you think? Should we submit a comment sheet for this, considering we don't have a site plan yet? Should we wait until we get a site plan? Or should we just come up with a comment sheet for it and make a note on the comment sheet that we reviewed this without site plan? What do you guys think?
I think you should tell them there's insufficient information for a review.
Yeah.
And how about if we say something like, we need this again when there's enough information to review it, so that it sounds a little bit like we should get it again?
Yeah, well, there's another application in town that we partially reviewed that we're still waiting on a site plan for. So this would be the second one. The previous one was I think it was Tresca Towing or something. It was the same thing. We got partial application.
Right.
All right. So I will make a note that to make sure that we get this site plan when it's submitted.
You think Desiree is looking at the comments? Is that the way to remind her that we'll need the site plan again? Or do you think it needs a separate notification?
Yeah. I guess if we made a comment sheet, then she would maybe think that it's reviewed.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
We did our review.
Unless the comment sheet had a note attached to it that said,
Unable to review because of information.
Not final comments, unable to, fully review or something like that.
Okay, so
however way you think it works best is fine. It's okay. Just, if you only put it on a comment sheet, I wasn't sure she really reads them.
Pick up on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell her that I'm not gonna make a comment sheet, and I'll just tell her that we have to review this when it comes back.
Okay.
I don't understand, how does a plan get filed or application get submitted and accepted without the proper plan?
Well, I think sometimes an applicant will fill out this application packet, right, and then wait for feedback from the township to tell them, I guess they don't know they need a site plan. I don't know. I don't know why an applicant.
There's instructions in there. It says how many foot, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I guess my question is, why would it even get assigned to a planning board number and get sent to us without it being, not completely.
Yeah.
Right. One would think it wouldn't it wouldn't be available if it was complete.
Well, incomplete applications, I did have a conversation with her about that when he first started, because there was some applications that weren't complete that she wasn't going to give us because they weren't complete yet, but they would be able to complete the application and go in front of the board before our next meeting. So that put her, I guess, made her think that anytime a partial application comes in, she'll just send us what she has. So I guess I'm partially responsible for us getting incomplete applications.
Theoretically, the remainder of what's required will come in before the board hearing. Is that
right after our meeting, but before the hearing?
Okay.
And also some applications, they can get a waiver for incomplete checklist.
True. Okay.
Nothing but J&J. Yeah.
But there are a lot of environmental concerns with this application, PB 2315. But not much we can do with it now.
Right.
The next application is for a site we all know well, RLS. This doesn't have a planning or zoning board number. I think previously it's been to the planning board most recently. No, this is zoning. Yeah, this is zoning. So I will read you the description. It is the intent of the, let me give you the basic information here. This is RLS. This lot has frontage on Dutch Mill Road. So the address is 1246 Dutch Mill Road, block 5602, lot 24. And the applicant's description is, it is the intent of the applicant to install 2 CO2 tanks, 4 recovery units, and 2 separate standalone roof systems over the recovery units, and an operating line to be located within an adjacent building. A use variance is requested to allow the installation of CO2 tanks, recovery units, a line system, and 2 roof canopies over the recovery units. Now, I'm not really familiar with CO2 tanks. I know RLF manages cold storage transportation. So obviously the CO2 tanks would be in conjunction with their cold storage and cold storage transportation. I don't know any details about how this stuff works. So I don't really know what kind of environmental concerns are aligned with CO2 tanks. Now, this is kind of, it looks like they're proposing these kind of in the middle of their property. So it's already impervious cover, so stormwater wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be generating any more stormwater runoff. So I don't really have much to say about this. I don't know. I think we might want to do further research to see if we can find any potential environmental hazards that might go along with these CO2 tanks.
CO2 is safe to use, just use for instant freezing.
Yeah.
What did I say? Didn't hear that.
Bill said that CO2 is safe. I mean, I don't know what kind of environmental hazards it could present. All I know is that the CO2 would be used, for their cold storage applications.
Right.
So I'll forward everybody.
They must have them already. This is just an expansion, we think.
I don't know. I don't know if they have it already or not. I don't think they do. But I guess even if they did, they would still need a variance to allow more, or a waiver.
This is like our third application from them for expansion, isn't it?
Yeah, they just had one for the big addition.
Yeah.
That was just within the last couple months, I believe, or within the last year, and they built that really fast.
And that was for what?
Completed. Just more warehouse space.
Sorry.
The last
that's right. Okay.
Was more warehouse space. And like I said, these tanks they're proposing to place these tanks pretty much in the middle of their site. So there won't be any more development of the site that's not already developed. So unless there's some kind of egregious threat presented by CO2 tanks, I would suggest that we make no comment on this, but I think a little further research is warranted into possible environmental threats from CO2 tanks. So yeah, that's all I have for this. So, like I said, I'll share the information that I have with everybody, and you can all take a look at it and tell me what you think. Or if somebody wants to do further research on CO2 tanks and see if there's any kind of environmental hazard associated with that. I'll delay.
Why would this not have a number?
Maybe because the application, I don't know, because there's other incomplete applications that we have that have numbers to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be.
What's the hearing date for this? Does that get listed? In other words, are we assuming it's the next zoning meeting?
Not necessarily, because sometimes we will review applications and they're not heard for a couple months sometimes.
But it doesn't say what the hearing date is for this on the application. Okay, yeah. So we don't know.
It's. I know it's currently not slated for being heard by the zoning board as of now, because sometimes it'll say that. And without having a number to it, makes me think that it's not going to be heard at the next. So I think the next zoning board meeting is next week.
Right. So there's a little time, presumably. Okay.
The CO2 isn't manufactured on site. It would have to be delivered by tank or truck. That might be a problem.
So Bill claims that the CO2 wouldn't be manufactured on site. Obviously, it would have to be delivered by a tanker truck. So that could possibly pose some environmental concern. But I'm going to make a note to delay coming up with a comment sheet for this application until we can do a little more research.
Okay.
And the final application that we have is for Ocean Food and Fuel, which is the gas station that is currently being built on Porchtown Road and Harding Highway. We reviewed this application, I don't know when it was, at least a year ago, I want to say. And they are requesting a variance to permit the sale of propane on the property and minor modifications to the parking lot landscaping and installation of bollards. So there's this very small footprint in the back of this property that they are proposing to install a 1,000 gallon propane tank, which wasn't part of their original site plan. So they're submitting an amended site plan to include the propane tank and also the associated site plan details that had to be changed to accommodate this. It's a pretty small footprint that it shows this tank. It doesn't take up much room at all. It's surrounded by a 6-foot high fence. It's hidden from view from the road. And let's see. This, by the way, this is block 4601, lot 1. The address is 1 Harding Highway. It's in the IC zone.
Is there a number?
There is no number for this one either. So for this one and the previous application, there was no number. And I don't remember if this was planning or zoning. Zoning. Jason claims it was zoning. The description on the application says it is the intent of the applicant to request an amended use variance and site plan approval to permit the sale of propane on the property. The applicant is also requesting approval for minor modifications to the parking lot landscape and installation of bollards that is all associated with this propane tank. And I can't think of any environmental concerns that this amended site plan would cause. So my recommendation would be no comment, but obviously open to anybody else's concerns that they may have environmentally about this amendment.
I agree. It's above ground tank. I don't think there's any environmental concern.
I don't know if you heard that, but Jason said it's an above ground tank and he doesn't believe there would be any environmental concerns either.
And other places sell propane. It's not a particular hazard, I don't think.
No, I mean, it's a pretty regular thing to do. I know it's, regulated, and it's pretty common for these. I see these tanks all over the place.
A lot of people are selling.
Yeah. So I don't know what application there is to this. I know there are like large propane canisters that are used for like forklifts and stuff as a way to power them. I don't know if this would be used for small personal, like barbecue tanks.
Yeah, it would be just,
I suppose it would be.
they're the same.
Yeah.
Same forklifts use the same tank.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be like powering vehicles and stuff like that, or, full size motor vehicles. So my recommendation would be no comment.
Sounds fine. Mhm.
All right, so that covers our applications for tonight. And moving on, the agenda, move on to old business and Piney Hollow Natural Area. I emailed the administrator, Mr. Finley, to ask him where we stand with the Green Acres grant, and he said we got the state approvals, which I assume he means Green Acres. We got approvals for them for the bid packet that we were going to submit, and he said we're putting the final touches on the bid packet before we send it out to contractors. So it should be prepared to be sent out to contractors hopefully very soon. So Green Acres approved the bid packet that was submitted to them for their approval.
Okay. Did you ever see the bid packet?
No.
Bid packet?
I didn't. Nope. I asked for it, but
I know you did.
No. I know Barbara asked about it, or asked for details about it at a township committee meeting, and Mr. Finley relayed some of the details about some of the changes that he proposed, because there was some excessive spending on things that weren't necessary. I forget what those details were, but it all sounded reasonable to me. I don't know. Have you heard any updates about this, Barb, other than getting it back from Green Acres with their approval?
Well, my understanding is that he wanted to meet with the engineer and public works and discuss ways to reduce costs before they went ahead with this bid packet. So hopefully he's done that.
Yeah. I know he said he was going to be meeting with, I don't think he's met with them yet, but now that we have the state approval, that's his next agenda item. And I went to Piney Hollow recently and noticed that the water levels were lower than I've ever seen. And I thought, like I said, lower than I've ever seen. So I figured maybe the last dam finally completely gave out. So I walked all the way down to the last dam and it was still intact. The water level is probably, it's over a foot lower than I've ever seen, and maybe 2 feet lower. If you know the area adjacent to the second pond between the first and second dike, there's like a little land bridge. On the left-hand side is the big pond. On the right-hand side, there's like a little water area there. That's completely dry, which I've never seen it completely dry before. So with the final dam still being intact, I figured there must be something going on from the other direction. So I walked across Piney Hollow Road and to the Girl Scout camp there, and that lake has been drained, almost completely drained. There's only a little bit of water left in that lake. And I've never seen that lake drained before. And
I mean, it's been a month since we had rain. We just got 2 inches, but
yeah, but this lake it's been drained. Like you can see all the stumps that were there before, before the trees were cut down and the dam was installed. So it was.
So who would do that?
Well, I guess the owner of that property did it. Now, I heard rumors years ago. I was there picking up some trash along Piney Hollow Road, and one of the neighbors came out. A person that lives in the house right across from the parking lot. And he was telling me that they were going to start doing road work on Piney Hollow Road, and something with the culverts underneath of the road where the water flows from the Girl Scout Lake into Piney Hollow. So I presumed maybe they had to drain the Girl Scout lake so that they could possibly do some work on the road. Now I'm just speculating. I don't know that. I know some lakes in the area are drained in wintertime, like what used to be Hospitality Creek campground. It's now like a Yogi Bear campground. They usually drain their lake in wintertime. There's another one down the Black Horse Pike, a campground with a lake, and they usually drain that lake in the wintertime. So I know it's regular practice for some locations. I don't know why. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. But I know that it's standard practice for some lakes. I don't know if there's any kind of regulations, though, like how it impacts things further downstream, because it obviously has a major impact to Piney Hollow. So there should be some kind of regulations in place that if you own a lake and you want to drain it, that, you know, it should be regulated somehow to that it's not negatively affecting other natural protected properties further along the waterway. But that was an observation I made.
They have to get some kind of a permit to do the draining. So one would think that if they need a DEP permit, I don't know. I've never asked that question.
I have a question, John, for you, because I'm not too familiar with the layout out there. You're saying that the Piney Hollow lakes are downstream from
So Piney Hollow
Lake.
Yeah, Piney Hollow Road on I guess it would be the west side of Piney Hollow Road is a Girl Scout lake.
Right.
And then on the east side of the road is the Piney Hollow lakes.
So the draining of the Girl Scout lake shouldn't affect Piney Hollow, should it?
Well,
it's downstream.
I think when the lake is full, once it reaches a certain level, all the excess water goes into the Piney Hollow lakes.
Okay, so it doesn't naturally flow all the time.
No.
Okay.
Well, no, it would flow because there's usually a steady overflow. Like at Malaga Lake, how there's always water running across the dam.
Right.
So I believe when that Girl Scout lake is full, there's a steady flow of water going into the lakes at Piney Hollow. So once they drain the Girl Scout lake and maybe they open the dam somehow, they don't have all that water build up. And you're not getting all that excess water constantly feeding into Piney Hollow.
Well, it almost sounds like there's some sort of further upstream obstruction past the Girl Scout lake.
Could be.
Yeah.
If you say you took the dam out of Malaga Lake, the river would still flow through there down to the next section. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how much of an effect it would have.
I wonder could beavers have dammed
I just thinking the same thing.
the source into the Girl Scout lake? I mean,
I don't think it would be that impactful.
Yeah, that dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a lot of beavers.
well, I mean, the beavers, they could be flooding out upstream. Like if you go down here where the power lines are,
where all the dead trees are.
Yeah, like that all at one time was all dry, from what I understand. And those beavers built that dam. Now it's completely flooded. You know? I mean,
yeah. I don't know, but I don't know how we can look into that. Maybe contact DEP somehow and see if they issued a permit or if there is a permitting process for draining a lake or if they have any information on it at all.
Yeah, I'll try to take a look at that. But the Girl Scout property got sold, right? Or
I believe it was recently, within the last couple of years.
Do we know? Yeah, and do we know who owns it now?
No.
Do you remember? Okay. All right.
I mean, do the Girl Scouts still use it?
that's what I'm saying. I don't know how that drain of that lake.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know.
Still got slow. Yeah.
I thought they kept some of the buildings. I don't know.
It looks like it is because there's still a bunch of, like, you can see to the shore on the other side, and there's still a bunch of canoes lined up on the beach over there. So I assume it's still being used.
Maybe they sold it and they're leasing it in the summer or something. I never quite got the story on that, or I don't remember it if I did. Okay, I'll try to find out more about that. Okay.
Yeah. So next we can move on to Malga Lake Park. I sent an email before our last meeting about that they installed the sign at the trailhead of the nature trail with the QR code, the digital QR code that you can just scan with your phone, and it brings up the trail brochure. And I walked the trail and made a list of all of the posts that need to be replaced. So I forget how many it was, but I made a list of how many posts need to be replaced. There's some that need to be moved. So to get the posts, we'll have to come up with a material list and submit that to the town, give it to the administrator, and then they will procure that material that we need for us.
We can't just buy it?
No, we can't. So that was actually an issue for some things that the receipts that you submitted. I don't know if you're reimbursed for that stuff.
No, not yet.
Yeah, well, you might not be, because I was told that Mr. Finley was opposed to you purchasing that stuff without prior authority or authorization. He said if the Environmental Commission wants to buy something, we have to submit a request for it, and they will get it for us because they can get it without having to pay tax on it. If you buy something as a municipality, you don't have to pay tax, and they have to approve anything that we buy. So I tried to persuade him to just take the money out of our annual budget to reimburse you for what you bought. And I never got any response to that. So you may not be getting reimbursed for that. I still have the tripod, so I can give you that tripod back. It's still in the original, packaging if you wanted to return it, because it's likely that you're not going to get reimbursed for it from the impression that I got.
I mean, if they give us a budget, did they give us a budget ever?
Barbara was saying that we do have a budget for this year.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah, $500.
Then there's no reason why we should have to work through them.
Wait, why does it have to be approved? If we have a budget, why do they have to approve it?
Yeah. So, I made a strong case of why they should reimburse you for this, and I'll share the email with you. And I mean, really
it's December
too. Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't have been able to purchase. They would not have been able to purchase what I wanted to get in any case. That's part of the absurdity of it. It's fine if we want to get 4x8s or whatever the heck the posts would be for the trail. That is something that you would just put on a list and they would be able to provide that. But they wouldn't know what to get for an educational project. So, or an exhibitory project. So having them purchase it is kind of absurd. It's also possible for them to give somebody who's buying something for the Environmental Commission a copy of the tax exemption form. We do that all the time with nonprofits. Everybody has a copy. So when you buy something on behalf of the organization, and you have to be, honest about it, you use that form. So anyway, I don't really care that much. We're talking about $85 altogether. It won't kill me. But, it's just so annoying.
But still, it's December, just about. So we have 30 days, and we have how much money for $500?
Well, and what about our ANJAC? ANJAC probably used all that money.
But in previous years where ANJAC dues part, was that taken out from the Environmental Commission annual budget?
Yes. Yeah, but the budget covered more than just the dues. That was part of it. I mean, that amount plus, there was always a couple hundred for educational purposes and perhaps another couple hundred for attendance at conferences or workshops or whatever. We never spent all of it ever.
We haven't spent a dime other than Anjec dues for at least 3 years now.
That's correct.
So
I think our budget used to be $1,000, didn't it? Didn't we used to have $1,000?
More than that. And also, budget also covered the secretary.
Yeah.
And I included that in my email of trying to implore Mr. Finley to reimburse you, was that, you've been covering the duties of the secretary for several years and therefore saving the township a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I'll just have a hissy fit. Without cursing.
Good luck.
Briefly,
Yeah, right. It may not do any good.
I'm connecting the dots. Suzanne bought something, I'm assuming, for Community Day.
Yeah, a tripod. I forget what the other item was. One item was a tripod.
And you just would like to get submitted.
And she submitted the receipts to the township.
Right.
And then I received an email saying that these were unauthorized purchases that were not going to be reimbursed.
Oh, and then it was also laminating some of the signage that was going to be on the display.
Oh yeah, of all of
it all got canceled, but it can be used next year, so it's not a loss. I did take back the one display board because I hadn't put anything on it, so it made sense to take it back because it may not be something you need next year.
Not authorized by who? Like who would authorize that?
Exactly. What do? You don't even know what to do. When I went in, I had a bunch of.
I mean, you can't run a business or a township getting committee authorization for an $85 purchase. So I'm wondering, who would authorize that? There has to be a certain limit that individuals have discretion to spend. I mean,
right, like a certain threshold that.
And if there's a process to follow, I mean, that wasn't provided to you for future.
Right.
I was just told to submit whatever we need. We have to submit to be authorized.
So it wasn't like, hey, we'll pay Suzanne this time, but for future reference, it was like, we're not paying her and that's it? Like,
it wasn't a final determination. I think it was more saying it's likely that she would not get reimbursed. I don't know. I have to look back at the specific wording of the email, but the impression that I got is that Suzanne would not be getting reimbursed.
Right.
And I pleaded the case.
Wants to control the money.
Yeah. So if we want to get anything for the posts at Malaga Lake, we'll have to come up with a material list, and I'll have to look back through that email and see who I'm supposed to submit that to for authorization.
For some reason, there's a deniability protocol for expenses, but not a protocol for getting us the damn applications. So it's really very, very annoying. I mean, it's one thing to become more efficient and do things in a nice, expedited and organized and predictable way. That's fine. Finley can do that as much as he wants. But then let's apply it to everything, for God's sake. I'm very annoyed. Okay. I'll just have my own personal fit. Okay.
No, I'm having it too. I'm having it with you, Suzanne.
Well, if they're making a policy, why aren't they telling anyone about the policy until it's too late?
Exactly.
Insane.
I mean, they always wanted purchase orders before and things like that, which is fine. But then I went in there and said, what am I supposed to do? And the gal at the desk said, I'll turn these in. So I gave her all the information. I never had to fill out anything, and I would have been happy to. But, I don't have any idea what the policy and procedure is supposed to be. Not the policy, but the procedure. So anyway, I'll talk to Finley directly too. If it's not a problem, or I'll email him anyway.
Well, I think that's why we lost Phil Russo, because they wouldn't reimburse him for his money that he spent for the signs.
Really?
Yeah.
You never got reimbursed for that, huh?
I think he finally did, but it was after it took months of him fighting for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
It is. It's also stupid. Okay.
So
do we know? Can you look up and see? Because I was thinking that if we could get those signs put back into Malaga Lake Park, that let's make up a material list. That's fine. I'm sure my brother would help with that too. And he's right down the road. But, if we don't have the material, I'm not going to ask him to provide it.
Right.
He'd never get reimbursed.
I will come up with a material list for that. And once we get the materials or get the approval to get the materials, then we can formulate a plan about how to go about replacing what needs to be replaced.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that hard to get the posts in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned like 4 needing to be replaced.
Yeah, 4 or 6. It wasn't many.
It wasn't that no more than that. Okay.
Yeah. And the ones that need to be moved, I don't know if the trail has kind of migrated over years, but there are some that are like 20 feet off of where the trail is now and facing the wrong direction. So
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
So I guess over the years, maybe the trail just kind of slowly meandered into where it is now.
in the beginning part, you mean, of the trail?
No, actually all the way in the back, the very back end of the trail.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I have on Malaga Lake. So I guess we can move on. No new business. And as far as mail and correspondence, if you guys get the ANJAC email updates, I'm sure you've been getting a few about this webinar that's going on November 30th at 7 p.m. about protecting open space and hazardous cleanup funding. ANJAC has been asking environmental commissions to participate in this and pass a resolution of support to continue funding open space and hazardous waste cleanup sites to send to the governor, who is trying to decrease the funding for that. And I think that's in conjunction with this turnpike expansion in North Jersey. There's a turnpike expansion, 1 lane that's going to go a length of 8 miles. That's going to cost taxpayers $10 billion. 1 lane for 8 miles. It's $1.25 billion per mile for a turnpike extension. So he's taking money from open space and hazardous waste cleanup funding to fund this turnpike expansion. So ANJAC is asking some environmental or all environmental commissions really to adopt the resolution that they have formulated just as a show of support to show that we're opposed to that. And there is a webinar, like I said, it's November 30th. I included the link on the agenda. So if anyone's interested in learning more information about that, you can. And if
how do we say that we're opposed to it? How do we?
Well, we could adopt the model resolution that they are providing. It's basically just a symbolic show of support. And they were, saying that we could get the township committee to adopt this resolution also, but I didn't include that in here. But I can email everyone the link to that. I didn't think to include it in tonight's agenda, but it's there for us if we want.
Did the resolution seem reasonable to you?
I can't remember. I perused it briefly, and I don't remember the details.
Because usually
I figured all of us got it. Do you guys get email updates from ANJAC?
I did not see that. I
didn't see that. I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Well, I'll forward the link to everybody when I forward you the other stuff, email stuff that I was talking about. I'll forward that as well.
Well, and it would seem to me that unless any of us have a problem with the resolution, I would propose that we adopt it.
I can pull it up right now. I'll read the resolution and we can make a vote on it right now.
Okay, good. Because that's ridiculous. Taking money from open space funding is not in our interest, especially for a lane in North Jersey. I wonder where that lane is supposed to be.
They're probably just buying up private land.
Well, the cost is phenomenal. I have no idea.
Do you think that's what it must be? Buying up the land from people?
No, because if it's only one lane, they probably already own the land. It's just construction costs because I'm sure it goes through many sensitive habitat areas and wetlands.
Right.
Is it an extension? In other words, making it? No, it's one lane. That doesn't make sense.
They're basically just widening it. Yeah.
For 8 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Our gasoline tax is supposed to pay for that. The road.
I mean, the expansion they did of the turnpike already was a tremendous help with not having constant massive traffic congestion.
Yeah.
Really improved things, although, you hate to see any land go, but it was worth it, it seemed.
I found the resolution. It is, it's a page and a half, so I'll read it word for word.
Do you want to share it?
Sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, I'm going to read it out loud. I'll read it. Share it. Well, I can send you the link through email right now. I don't know how to put this stuff up on the...
Down at the bottom of your screen is a green share button. And I just said...
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay. I'll have to find it on my email. I did it on my phone.
Oh, yeah. You probably have to pull it onto your desktop or just open it. Open the resolution and then hit the share button. Maybe.
I'm going to email myself the link and then open it in my email on the desktop.
Or just open it. It might be sufficient.
All right, just bear with me here for a second.
Sure. No problem. Take your time.
Oh, are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't get it because we're using our screen, right?
Yeah, I could pull it up on my telephone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the resolution.
Oh, it's real bad there.
Well, we're using it to be in the meeting. We're using the computer to be in the meeting.
Okay, so I have it pulled up on my desktop. So let me share screen.
Then it gives you a bunch of documents to open, and if it's open already, it's easy to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there it is.
Got it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read through it.
You could enlarge it just slightly if you would, maybe.
It's not mine.
So is this going to belong to us, or is this going to disappear when the meeting goes away?
It's going to disappear.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to make it larger.
Oh, well, that's all right. It's okay. Oops.
Sorry.
That's right.
Now I have to find it on my phone again. So I can't see the whole thing on my screen. Okay.
You should be able to pull this down.
All right. Supporting continuation of corporate business tax at 2023 rate to fund critical open space, farmland, historic preservation, and hazardous site cleanup. Whereas in 2014, 65% of New Jersey voters approved amending the New Jersey Constitution to provide long-term sustainable funding for open space, farmland, and historic preservation by dedicating a portion of the corporate business tax to those programs. Whereas New Jersey voters' high approval on every NJ open space ballot question since 1961 reflects their dedicated support for farmland, open space, and historic preservation. Whereas agriculture plays an integral role in the prosperity, agribusiness, and well-being of the Garden State, along with providing a fresh and abundant supply of food for its residents. Whereas in the most densely populated state in the nation, the COVID-19 pandemic proved the high value of New Jersey's open space and recreational areas to the health and well-being of residents throughout New Jersey, especially those in urban towns and minority communities. Whereas Governor Murphy stated on Earth Day 2023, during final adoption of New Jersey's environmental justice rules, we have worked incredibly hard to, this is quotes, we have worked incredibly hard to ensure that all people, regardless of income, race, ethnicity, or national origin, can enjoy their right to live, work, learn, and recreate in a clean and healthy environment, end quote. Whereas New Jersey is one of the original 13 colonies, its historic preservation is significant to our nation's history, whereas open space is essential to protecting New Jersey residents and businesses from storm-related flooding that results in loss of life, property, and is increasing at an alarming rate due to climate change. Whereas continuation of New Jersey's CBT provides important and necessary funding for the acquisition, preservation, and stewardship of open space, farmland, and historic sites in New Jersey that protects and enhances the character and beauty of the Garden State while providing its citizens with opportunities for recreation, relaxation, and education. Whereas CBT funding provides long-term sustainable funding to support communities with the remediation of hazardous sites known as brownfields, the cleanup of leaking underground storage tanks, the funds cleanups of hazardous spills. Please send a copy of all adopted resolutions of support to a link that's provided. A copy of model resolutions can be found here. Whereas the proposed reduction in CBT included in the 2024 NJ state budget would slash approximately $60 million annually from vital open space, farmland, historic preservation, and remediation of hazardous sites known as brownfield cleanups, leaking underground storage, and funds cleanups of hazardous spills. Therefore, be it resolved that the undersigned ask Governor Murphy and the New Jersey legislature to maintain the current 2023 level of corporate business tax funding without reduction to provide continuous level funding for critical environmental and public health programs.
Amen. I agree.
Let's take a roll call vote. All right, I'll start with Suzanne.
Yes.
What are we voting on?
We are voting on whether or not we want to adopt this resolution to show support of what I just read, that the proposed reduction in CBT, the corporate business tax in 2024 New Jersey budget, basically, therefore be it resolved that the undersigned, which would be the Franklin Township Environmental Commission, will ask Governor Murphy and the New Jersey legislature to maintain the current 2023 level of corporate business tax funding without reduction to provide continuous level funding for critical environmental and public health programs. So, I mean, if you vote no, you're allowed to vote whatever you want, and it'll just be majority.
I think we need to have a motion on what we're voting on. So
yes, you're right.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as outlined by John.
I'll second.
Me too.
All right, so we'll take a roll call vote on that. Thank you for providing the proper procedure.
Yeah, no problem.
No, you're right. I forgot that. Okay, roll call vote. Suzanne?
Yes.
Okay. Margaret?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And I vote yes also. So that's yes, 5 yes votes, 0 no votes. So motion passes. I will print this out and, I'll print it out and I'll sign it. As chairman of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission, I will then scan that signed document and email it to the link that is provided.
Great. Thanks, John.
John, are you able to scroll down and push this document that's on the screen up so we can see the bottom of it? Because what you read is entirely different from what was on the screen.
We mentioned on the Environmental Commission.
Oh, yeah. So what I have on the screen is specifically about the Turnpike expansion. There were two resolutions that we could adopt. One opposing the expansion of the Turnpike, and then the other was specifically for supporting the continuation of critical funding for open space.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, sorry, I put the wrong resolution on the screen. So I'm going to find the resolution I just read and share that. I mean, we could also do the other resolution opposing the Turnpike extension.
At that price, it seems like it. We ought to, perhaps. It's funny that we didn't receive this.
Yeah.
Barbara, did you get it?
I don't know. I've been really busy.
Okay.
You mean get it from Anjac? Is that what you mean, Suzanne?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it.
And I didn't get it. It's funny. We'll let them know that, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's okay, John. It's fine when you read it.
Yeah, I understood it. I listened very carefully, eyes closed.
This is the one that I just read.
Yes, right.
So I guess you can only see what's on my screen, and I don't know how to make it so that it shows the whole thing at once. Well, maybe if I do this.
Or if you raise somehow the screen is, right, let me see. View options. Fit to window or 100% original size at the very top. Maybe. No. All right.
Well, I will forward it to everybody so that you have a copy of it.
Yeah, you have to do the scrolling down. But I was just able to enlarge it because at the very top of my screen, it gave me view options and a menu. And when I dropped that menu down, it allowed me to enlarge it for my reading purposes. But but you're the one who has to do the scrolling up and down to see the top of it and the bottom of it, etc. But it worked fine. Now, to get it off, you have to hit share screen again. And then it'll go back to us looking at each other.
Stop share.
Yeah.
There we are.
Take
care. Bye, Bill.
Bye.
Now, did we want to do the second resolution, the other resolution?
Well, yeah, I can take a quick look at that one and see what it says. Resolution opposing the expansion of the New Jersey Turnpike. So I can reshare that one, and that's a little shorter. That's only one page. If we want to do that, I can read that also. But let me share that first.
Sort of read that when you had it up, and that's why I knew it wasn't the same.
So can everyone see that resolution?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Resolution opposing the expansion of the New Jersey Turnpike, whereas the New Jersey Turnpike Authority is pursuing the Newark Bay Hudson County Extension Improvements Program and other expansions across New Jersey, which involve widening the turnpike. In 2022, the NJTA estimated the cost of the turnpike expansion to be $10.7 billion alone and over $6 billion for the new construction of the expanded Newark Bay Bridge. And whereas recognized principles in highway engineering, including the concept of induced demand, underscore the highway widenings can worsen congestion and lead to increased traffic volume. And whereas the surge in traffic will exacerbate roadway pollution, including air pollution from gas-powered vehicles that emit harmful pollutants and greenhouse gases, such as particulate matter and ground-level ozone, that have been found to disproportionately impact vulnerable citizens and those living in overburdened communities. And whereas, I lost my spot. Whereas the New Jersey has committed through Executive Order 274 to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% from 2006 levels by 2030, necessitating transformative investments in sustainability and clean energy to combat climate change and pollution. And whereas the transportation sector constitutes the largest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States and in New Jersey, accounting for approximately 40.6% of New Jersey's greenhouse gas emissions, highlighting the need for significant greenhouse gas reduction from the sector to achieve the 50 by 30 goal. And whereas the NJTA has not presented adequate traffic studies or cost-benefit analysis regarding the turnpike extension, leaving the project effectiveness and impact on local communities uncertain. And whereas the considerable funds earmarked for the turnpike expansion could be reallocated to enhance and repair transportation infrastructure, thereby reducing transportation congestion and greenhouse gases. And whereas investments in sustainable public transportation infrastructure, especially for underserved communities, can provide economic opportunities and an improved quality of life for all. Therefore, be it resolved by the undersigned, the City Council calls for, this says the City Council calls for, I don't think that we can.
We can't put that in.
Right.
It would have to be the Franklin Township Environmental Commission calls for.
Right. So could we just change that? The Environmental Council calls for?
Yes.
I mean, because it's just a model resolution. We can change the resolution to fit our needs.
Right.
Number one, the New Jersey Transportation Association to immediately halt any expansion of the New Jersey Turnpike. And number two, all current and future NJTA projects to undergo a comprehensive analysis of their climate, economic, and public health impacts and provide ample opportunities for public input to assess their effects on local communities before initiation and continuation. Projects found to harm any, especially overburdened communities, should be rejected. And number three, the state of New Jersey and NJDOT to incentivize, support, and prioritize statewide investment in public transportation, repair projects, railways, safe streets, bikeways, and walkways, which alleviate traffic and advance New Jersey's transportation infrastructure with the goal of protecting the health and safety of its residents, businesses, and institutions. And number four, this resolution will be forwarded to New Jersey state legislators to advocate for sustainable transportation initiatives at statewide level.
Yep.
So if someone
I propose adopting this resolution and sending.
So
Suzanne makes a motion to adopt the resolution, and
I do too. If we have to be proper, I second it.
All right, so there is a motion. Just a second here. I just want to bring everybody back up on screen. Sorry, I'm struggling here. Okay, never mind. I can't achieve what I'm trying to do here.
What are you trying to?
I was just trying to get the view of everybody on Zoom back onto my screen.
Oh, you can't just hit the share button at the bottom again? You're trying to get it, right?
Okay, there we go. All right, so there is a motion to vote to adopt the resolution, seconded by Margaret. So we'll take a roll call vote. Suzanne?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Myself, I vote yes. That's 5 yeses. So I will amend this resolution so that it doesn't say City Council. It will say the Franklin Township Environmental Commission in this area right here.
Mm-hmm.
I will sign this resolution as the chairman of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission, and I will forward this signed copy of this at this link that is provided, showing our support for both of these resolutions.
Good. Thank you. I always put Gloucester in parentheses after our name.
Yes, good point.
Because of the other Franklin Township. You really shouldn't have 2 townships with the same name. It's kind of.
I think there's 3, isn't there? Isn't there a third one?
Yeah, I think you're right. There were, or maybe it was 3 Washingtons.
Yeah, I think there's 3. Well, maybe all New York or something.
There were 3 Washingtons, and one of them changed their name. Oh shoot, I can't remember right now.
Hamilton.
Oh well. Anyway.
Somerset.
Okay, well, that covers everything on the agenda.
Thanks, John. That was good.
Yeah.
Great.
Anybody have an update on the pool company? Are they shut down yet, or what? Anybody know what's happening with that? Barbara, you know?
All I know is rumor. I can't really say.
You mean
But you disclosed it?
they haven't been stopped yet?
I don't know.
All I know, I don't know if it's true. I heard it from someone who is not part of the case. So all I can say is what I heard is that the judge and the parties were discussing them taking the manufacturing of the pools to Cedarville, where they own another property, and that they wanted to keep the storefront here, and they wanted exemption from Pinelands, claiming that that other places like the hitch trailer place, whatever the name of that place is, and that Garapos didn't go to the Pinelands, which I find really hard to believe.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't think they can grant an exemption from a third-party agency.
No.
Well, I think the judge has a lot of power, and I think he'd be an idiot to waive Pinelands if he even can.
Right.
But at the same time, to believe that they never went to Pinelands just on the word of, the defendant's attorney seems far-fetched. It really would have to be completely researched.
Right.
So that's all I've heard, and I don't know how true any of it is. So,
Well, the judge gave them, a month and a half more, didn't he, to prepare?
well, in the beginning, right after they were turned down, he was given more time. But I heard they had another meeting where they're trying to finagle this deal.
All right.
But I don't know what the truth is.
And the Pinelands exemption pertains to the other facility, right? The one where they would manufacture?
No, our town.
Well, they're in Pinelands? I thought they were not.
No, they are. They're in Pinelands.
Oh, they are. Okay. I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah. Part of 40 is actually in
Wouldn't that
Pinelands.
be, if our township is having such a hard time with this company, and they've been fighting them for years, from what I understand.
Right.
That's what the administrator told me. Wouldn't that give him an easy out without having to go to court if the Pinelands doesn't give them approval? I mean, wouldn't that get our township out of trouble?
I don't really think we're in trouble. I mean, the guy put up an illegal business, and not sure why the township would be at fault for that.
Well, the township said that they've been fining them every single day, and not that they're paying up on the fines, and they refuse to stop what they're doing. So if we had a third party involved, and because we weren't exactly successful in court, they got an extension. I would just think that appealing to the Pinelands is what we should do.
Well, Township Committee meets tomorrow night. Maybe someone wants to go and ask them what's going on. Don't look at me because I'm busy right now.
And I have another appointment, again, engagement.
I've been considering attending tomorrow's meeting and making a recommendation for appointments on the Environmental Commission and replacing members that haven't shown up.
Right.
So maybe I'll do that. I'll make those recommendations and also ask about what's going on with the pool company.
I mean, they may be somewhat limited in what they can disclose if it's still an ongoing matter of litigation, but you think it would be a general update that we could be given?
Yeah, be good to have.
I mean, didn't they have like an early December court date? I mean, the pool place.
I don't know, Margaret. I have no idea.
Huh.
Oh, maybe you could also ask them if they're applying for a Green Acres grant from Malaga Lake Park.
That's right.
They don't have that much time. I mean, they have till the 7th of February to do a huge amount of things in order to get a grant application finished.
So there are companies, I was told that there are 2 companies around here that go around to townships and write out grants for free. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
And so, this is what I was told by my sister who lives in Newfield, and they got a grant. And so, so she's going to give me some more information when she finds out who they are, because we could sure use them.
Well, yeah, although it's not that hard to write a grant. The problem is knowing what your project is. And if they're not willing to articulate what the township itself is willing to do, then it doesn't even matter. I mean, there's no point in writing a grant. That's the hard part about a grant, is not writing the grant, but deciding on all the parts in advance of having the money or having had enough time to really work it all out. And you need to be able to tell the funder, the potential funder, exactly what you plan to do and how you're going to measure your success. And if the town hasn't made a commitment to actually doing something and knows what they're going to do, then you can't write the grant. So, although it would be great to have somebody come in and do it, I would think the township would be very happy with that, but they need to know what they want to do. Are they going to adopt the concept plan that we worked on? Are they going to just work on the playground equipment? Do they want to put in a track around the grass? Are they going to fix this drainage? What?
Well, that's what they got, the people in Newfield, from what I understand. They got the new playground equipment. So, I don't know.
Sounds like. Well, it'd be great to know exactly who's doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
To get that information, but I just feel like the town just refuses to make a commitment to this park.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, it was complicated. The Green Acres grant has all these steps you have to go through. I don't know if you remember it, but you have to advertise. You have to get things on the, you have to get resolutions done. You have to do presentations. You have to get people to sign letters endorsing it. You have to do so many things, and you have to do it within a specific time frame. It's hard to do all that. And if they don't want to get moving soon, they're not going to make those deadlines.
Well, I will make every effort to attend the township committee meeting and bring those things up, or at least inquire about them.
Can you bring them all up at one time, John, in one stand up, or do you have to go back?
Yeah, should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barbara, do you remember what the deadline date is for the grant?
I think it's February 7th.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think that was it. I mean, I get answers from Finley when I ask about it. Things like he's talking to the engineer, he's gathering information and talking to Public Works, but I don't get any real answers, as to whether they're moving forward or not. It's kind of nebulous.
If you're going to replace playground equipment, you have to have figured out what you're replacing it with. It takes time to do all that. Or you're going to hire a playground consultant, in which case who? And anyway, yeah. Okay, John, it would be great if you'd find out.
John, you're going to make recommendations on individuals to be appointed, or you're going to make recommendations on individuals to not be reappointed?
I was going to double check with one individual to make sure that she's still interested. And then I was going to make recommendations to just find someone that will actually show up. So
you're not endorsing any individuals? You're
just one, if he's willing to participate. I asked other people previously, actually, and also maybe Bill. I asked him if he would be interested. So yeah, because he makes the effort to show up every week. And Mindy had expressed interest in being, at least an alternate. We have an open alternate seat.
As it is now.
Yeah. And even if not, then at least replace the one alternate that hasn't shown up in a year and 10 months. and replace our liaison to the planning board, who has only attended one of our meetings and I believe only 2 planning board meetings all year. So I was hoping that our township committee liaison would be here tonight, although we haven't seen him in, I think, 4 months now, and I haven't heard from either of them.
That's what happens every time. Every year, that's what happens.
Marsh and Jonathan Keene. And John Keene was actually attending frequently. But we haven't seen him. I don't think he's been here since July. Right. And I haven't had any responses to the emails that I sent out. Neither liaison has ever responded that they're not going to be here, or just zero.
Mm-hmm.
He was so enthusiastic.
Has he been at the committee?
Yeah. He seemed to be motivated. And happy.
Yeah. It was exciting for a little while.
Well, maybe it's just a temporary hiatus.
Yeah, or he's learning the ropes.
Maybe, but it does seem to be the pattern. We get, a few months of attention, and then I'm sure it's because they get so busy, but still, so don't come every month, come every other month or something. Oh, well, okay.
All right. Well, I think we can, we're ready for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Please say. Okay, after.
I'm sorry.
I
Did you just second, John? Is that?
Yeah.
And what are we saying, 9:15?
Yeah, 9:15.
Okay.